Good morning, everyone. My least favorite part about this job is breaking up the good conversation that's already happening, but it's such a joy to welcome you to Newman Lumen on this Thursday morning. I didn't plan this intentionally, but today we are hearing from two Bs, Bonny and Bo. And so first, we are glad to welcome Bonny Buckley from Counseling Services. She is an Elon alum, a BFA alum, which tracks with the musical offering this morning. I didn't know that. Also psychology and dance. This is like so on brand. I'm learning so much. Serves in counseling services here at Elon. She strives to create a safe and welcoming space for everyone, as well as celebrating resiliency and progress. You also play how many instruments? Just a handful. So I think we're going to get to experience a couple of those this morning. So please help me to welcome Bonny Buckley.
One thing that always is true, my love for you. Oh, how the years they fly by. Some moments will make us cry, but one thing that always will be your love for me. This is a song about life, all through the heartache and strife. One thing that always is true, my love for you.
Thank you, Bonny. That was a lovely way to begin our time together. I now have the pleasure of introducing to you the second Bo of the day, not the lesser Bo, to be certain, but Bo Dalrymple from the class of 2025. I asked if it was okay that I share this before I shared it, but unlike most students I have the pleasure of working with at Elon, I actually got to know Bo when he was in high school because his older sister Katie, who I'm sure some of y'all knew as well, was a student here at Elon, and I remember one Sunday at a Leaf service, we were doing our regular thing, and there was this quiet kid who looked a little bit younger than most of the other students in the back, and when we were sharing the piece or something like that, I learned that it was Bo. It was Katie's younger brother, and that he was here visiting, trying to figure out if Elon might be a place where he would spend his next 4 years, and long story short, the rest is history. He is here. He's been such a gift to this campus and all that he has been involved with. Bo's from Winston-Salem, just down the road, studies international and global studies and political science. Just got back from a semester in Taiwan. Is co-coordinating student vote or Elon votes this year, which, no small job in an election year. He has been involved in several different dialogue programs on campus, which we're going to get to hear more about this morning, and not least of which cares deeply and is thoughtful in his engagement, in his understanding of what it means to promote community on campus across lines of difference, which works pretty perfectly with our theme this year. So please help me to welcome Bo Dalrymple.
Thank you, Julie, for that kind introduction. Thank you, Bonny, for the wonderful song, and Bo, our special guest. Continuing the BBB theme. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. As mentioned, my name is Bo Dalrymple. I am a senior studying international and global studies and political science. So when we think of transforming walls to windows, as was cleverly constructed by our hosts here at the Truett Center, this can be taken a number of different ways. Running with this hypothetical, we may ask, what is the reasoning for establishing boundaries between ourselves and others? Is it to protect us, to silence the perspectives or even truths told by another individual? This exercise of thought helps us explore the conditions of division and how we as a collective, we as a community can mitigate this phenomenon. It is without question that my generation has inherited a chaotic and often disjointed world. Having been raised in an era of technology and social media, we've been accustomed to an ever-changing, ever-evolving society. The genesis of smart devices, social media, and generative AI have drastically altered the social fabric of our communities. While this may be a system that my age group has inherited, it is not a naturally acquired skill for most. Instead, these devices of connectivity have dramatically changed our world, impacting even the most savvy of technology users, all the way to those who are still committed to the BlackBerry returning. And boy, do I miss Brick Breaker. Really do. While many of us may identify the gradual change that technology has made in our lives, it may be less evident the changes it has made to our behavior and interactions with others. The connectivity that comes with technological advancements is unprecedented. Never in the history of humankind have we been able to reach individuals face-to-face from a different domain, in real time. This reality has made drastic changes to the composition of our society, changing how families interact, expanding the flexibilities of students and workers, and promoting safety in non-emergency health fields. And yet, never before have we been presented a stream of information that is curated to our tastes and our interests. Whether it be a divisive political topic or a stream of baby panda pictures, the latter of which I'm guilty of interacting with, of course, our sources of information are vetted before they even reach us. As a result, social media can often serve as a sounding board of dramatic and flashy views, as well as a silo of information and interaction. Despite this omnipresent source of connectedness, more and more humans are feeling disconnected, unfulfilled, and alone. The renowned political scientist Robert Putnam encapsulated this effectively in his groundbreaking work, Bowling Alone, The Collapse and Revival of American Community. Covering thousands of interviews in the last quarter century prior, this book from 2000 examines how American civil society is deteriorating as more individuals are disconnected from family, friends, neighbors, and our democratic and societal structures. Putnam warns that social capital, defined as the basis of connections between individuals, is plummeting, detracting from individual lives and the composition of society as a whole. While the demise of bowling teams in favor of individual bowlers is a clever anecdotal approach to the title, Putnam in plain language presents how fewer Americans sign petitions, belong to organizations with recurring meetings, know their neighbors well, and meet with friends or even family regularly. This troubling finding demands us to consider what the last quarter century has yielded for society that was already found to be increasingly isolated and disconnected, especially with the advent of social media and generative AI. What we have today are even higher degrees of social isolation and disconnectedness between human beings. This is evident when viewing the types of interactions between individuals today, as well as the direction exchanges often head. This last point leads us to the heart of our discussion today, that is political polarization. Prior to high school, I could not be bothered by the boring realm of government. The monotone voices on C-SPAN that dragged on through committee hearings and debates over legislation were something I would never have been caught watching. I felt a general sense of apathy towards all things political. This changed in my sophomore year in high school when I took the state-mandated course on civics and economics. Sure, this taught me about supply and demand, as well as opportunity costs, some of the only economic terms I carry with me today, but more importantly, it piqued my interest into the world of government. Learning the historical narrative of our nation's founding, the slice of federalism cake that dictates how our levels of government operate, and stories of advocacy and progress were exciting to me. I continued my study of both American and comparative political systems and found a true passion for the field. So it was an easy choice upon coming to Elon University and declaring my two majors. And while today my passion still lies in government, more specifically, focus on American foreign policy, I will often tell those who inquire that I am no fan of politics. Recognizing that politics is an inseparable component of government and decision-making, it reveals a truth about the detrimental effects of societal divisions. To this date, I find political discussions deeply uncomfortable and divisive. Though the policy areas and legislative realities are of tremendous interest to me, both personally and academically, these types of exchanges rarely arrive at that level of complexity or detail. While I'm not discounting the legitimate political debate as a means of finding commonality and sustainable solutions, the majority of political discussion falls short of that measure. Instead, what we see are a series of leading questions, personal attacks on the character of another individual, and more often than not, a hardening of one's own set belief. This past September, the Kernodle Center for Civic Life hosted our semesterly deliberative dialogue event, specifically focusing on anxiety and elections. This forum, which is regarded as a, quote, structured discussion where people with different perspectives work together to find common ground on complex issues, invoked the participants' feelings heading into the general election, in hopes of finding some form of commonality. At the beginning of the event, Assistant Dean of Campus Life and Director of the Kernodle Center, Bob Frigo, he helped contextualize the existing political climate in America. Most poignantly, Bob shared a headline from the Pew Research Center which stuck with me. The article read, quote, growing shares of both Republicans and Democrats say that members of the other party are immoral, dishonest, closed-minded than other Americans. Just consider that for a moment. Before ever inviting another individual to share their background, their upbringing, the values held closest to them, or those who might have shaped and influenced their worldview, they are automatically disregarded based upon their group identity. Before recognizing the humanity and shared dignity of another individual, we immediately characterize and place blame upon them. What this demonstrates is that we are closing out others before they can even get a word. We are constructing walls between us and the outgroup, and we're closing the blinds that might give us a better window into their worldview. This is not to say that I've never judged an individual. Far from it, in fact. Nor can I pretend to be an expert on navigating complex political and societal divisions. More often than not, they are messy and emotionally charged topics that can pin individuals' values and priorities against one another. However, what I can tell you from experience is the value of navigating these difficult topics with greater intentionality and structure. In my capacity as a student leader in the Kernodle Center for Civic Life, serving as both an office manager and Elon Votes coordinator the last 4 years, I've been exposed to the power of purposeful discussion. Specifically, we have hosted over the years deliberative dialogue events, which were previously touched upon, as well as the living room conversation model. Though different ways of organizing participants' thoughts to explore a deep-rooted social and political issue, they allow for more constructive and meaningful discussion. At the beginning of each session, there is a run-through of ground rules in order to set participants' expectations. This opening disclaimer presents the forum as an open-ended discussion on how individual experiences shape one's own positionality, as well as what participants value about the different perspectives and solutions that would be explored. This approach identifies the goals of the moderated discussion, which is to allow participants to gain a better understanding of the issue and the range of views that contribute to it. Ultimately, participants are able to reach a shared understanding and find where there is common ground amongst the group. This approach allows participants to identify meaningful community-based solutions while actively working together. While no model of structured dialogue is perfect, nor will there be a perfect consensus reached amongst group members in any session, it is a helpful exercise once participants return to their respective spaces in the community. These practical skills towards navigating difficult and often personal topics allow for greater empathy among participants. By learning someone's background, we are able to add more nuance to the conversation. This multifaceted approach allows issue areas and possible solutions to be explored in greater detail, allowing participants to identify points of compromise. Ultimately, I believe that these are meaningful programs that can address polarizing issues, promote inclusive and democratic ideals, and invite further discussion beyond just the set event time. By accepting the invitation to join others who hold different identities, considering the backgrounds that inform one another's perspectives, and challenging ourselves to hear alternative points of view, we become more active contributors to civil society. The exploration of meaningful dialogue is one way that we can tear down the walls that we have built between ourselves and the unknown in order to gain a better window into the world around us. This is how we build bridges across forms of divide and become a more integrated, engaged member of our communities. Thank you all very much.